in the sonic chronic spaceship. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Zooming on by in the sky, in space. Zooming on by in the sky, in space.
I don't know what just happened. Okay, this is a special edition.
Special edition.
We're excited. All right, so let's get on with it and let you know what's the haps.
Yeah.
All right? Well, hey there, fabulous listeners and viewers. Join us in the Sonic Chronic Space Coaster as we celebrate Pride in the 90s. Woo! With a splash of sci-fi and whimsy. In this episode, we dive into the top-rated LGBTQA movies of the era, exploring the heartfelt journey of But I'm a Cheerleader, the intense drama of Gia, and the raw emotions of love, lies, and bleeding. So grab your rainbow gear and join us for a nostalgic, laugh-filled journey through Pride in the 90s. Because I'm a cheerleader. That's who I am.
That is who you are.
Sonic chronic, frequency of the times. Sonic chronic.
Hey, I'm Shayzee, cosmic alchemist, music producer and artist, and vocal vixen. Born in Xanadu and living in LA, ready to scratch that itch in your brain.
And hi, I'm Mandy, singer, actress, born and raised in LA, here to sprinkle a little love everywhere I go.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Woo!
And welcome to the Sonic Chronic, where we discuss the soundtracks and music of the popular film titles of a year and how they were influenced or were influenced by the cultural and global buzz of that year. Who were its popular tastemakers and storytellers, and what was the frequency of that time? In this episode, we've tuned into the Earth portal of 1999, 1998, and 2024 Pride Edition.
Glitter. Yeah, that's right. We're hitting a couple years.
We are. Some really good years for Pride.
We had to shake it up because this is the Pride Edition, so we wanted to kind of cherry pick, and it's actually kind of cool because we got 1999, we got 1998, and 2024, like you said, which is this year.
Yes.
And so we get to kind of look at the differences or not of these titles. How did we evolve through the years, or how have things stayed the same? That's also kind of cool. But before we do that, what we always juxtapose this against is what was happening in the world.
Yes.
During these
Deep dive. Let's take us back and party like it's
1999. That's right. Oh my God, Prince reference, love it. So 1999 we picked because we had to pick one year, and so since our feature, it happens to be in that year, we're going to go with 1999 in terms of the global news and the cultural highlights, right? So let's remind you all that in 1999, that was the year that we started getting widespread panic and fear about the Y2K bug.
Oh my gosh.
We thought everything was going to shut down when it went tick to 2000. And of course, Prince was like, party like it's 1999 because it's over.
Right.
But it was actually, the potential problem stemmed from the way computer systems recorded dates. Using only the last two digits of the year, many people feared that on January 1st, 2000, computers would fail to interpret the year 2000 correctly, leading to possible widespread technical and infrastructure failures. So basically, massive global efforts were undertaken to update and fix computer systems so that way the transition digitally. So that was it. It was more about, will all the technology crash? And so that was the panic. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to have an apocalypse.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, what, buying water and toilet paper? That's for the same reason. And then guess what? January 1st, 2000, everything was like, we're good.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of 2000, that was the year of Brennifer. Do you remember Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston? That was like the highlight of like celebrity couples.
Wait, was that after Angelina Jolie?
They were before. And that was the year they got
was
married.
Before Angelina Jolie because they met on Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yes. He was the highest paid actor at the time. She was the highest paid actress for the leading sitcom at the time, Friends.
Right. Okay, separately. So they weren't working on a project together. Or
no,
did they?
although...
Did they?
Fun Friends fact, if y'all are Friends fans, Brad Pitt was in one of the episodes.
That's right. I remember that.
So cute. Phoebe was like so like in love with him. He was so cute.
Smelly guy.
Anyway, they were like the it couple. Everyone was obsessed with him.
I do remember she was like having her heyday.
Oh yeah.
And she was kind of the it girl, and he was the it guy, and
which they still are. Nothing's changed in that regard. I mean, they're not together,
actually,
they're not married anymore.
They had this interesting resurgence in a more sophisticated way, both of them separately, I think, because she started taking on some really like more drama roles in movies. Aniston.
The Morning Show.
The Morning Show, oh my God, that's more recent. That series is amazing. I love it. Brad Pitt, he was doing some more, still movies, I think, but they were kind of like more serious roles. And
Benjamin Button.
Yeah, Benjamin Button, that's right. We did a review of that. Oh, he's so many. I
mean, they're both still A-list.
Still A-list. Oh, major.
People in
But then, like,
town.
Angelina Jolie came into the picture, and that was, like, game changer for Aniston. There was a whole controversy. Remember, she was, like, feeling a little slighted, or I don't know, maybe the tabloids made it seem like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Angelina's kind of a goddess, but what are you going to do?
Brangelina.
Oh, Brangelina, that's right. Oh, it was Brangelina? That was Brangelina.
Brad Pitt, Angelina?
Brangelina.
Where are you getting the N?
Angelina.
Oh. I said Brangelina.
I know, yeah. I was like, it alliterates a little bit better. Brangelina. Like, Blad's a little bit. The Z is silent. No. Okay, so that's an interesting little cultural fact. Okay, so let's come back to our global, more serious facts.
Yeah, what else happened?
Oh, it's really sad, but the Columbine High School massacre happened on April 20th, 1999. I can't believe that was 1999. That's so crazy. 2 students carried out a mass shooting at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado, killing 12 students and a teacher before taking their own lives. This was the first time, although it shouldn't have been the first time, that we started as a nation bringing more attention to the issues of gun control. That didn't change much, as you know, school safety, and the influence of media violence. It's also led to changes in school policies and increased awareness of the need for mental health support for students. Also, documentarian Michael Moore put out Bowling for Columbine, which was like basically a documentary about that incident. But yeah, that was intense.
Jeez.
The thing is, that was like just scratching the surface of such a major, bigger problem that is still happening. Still facing. 25 years ago. And still, this is no change, right?
Last year, the number one cause of death for children was
gun violence. Yes. Yeah.
Like, what?
It's ridiculous. I mean, the fact that nothing is changing just shows you that the people in power, they know that that's an issue. That's not their interest. It's not their interest. That's why we got to vote local. Vote local. You don't understand how important that is. Because by the time they get to that higher level, you don't really have a choice, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So give me some cultural facts.
Some lighter news. Yeah. Around this time is when gaming really took off. That was the year that like Nintendo sold its 100 millionth Game Boy.
What?
And like Pokemon was taking off. Sony launched PlayStation 2. Mm-hmm. And do you remember the hottest new game of that year with the virtual reality Sims game?
Oh, it came out that year?
Yeah, in 2000.
The first Sims? Oh my gosh.
Where you could like basically build your own world and like
and just let them go. Like say, okay, let's see what happens. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
That was like at the height of it all.
And then Farmville came way later when Facebook was happening.
Way later.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same vibe.
I remember I was obsessed with Roller Coaster Tycoon and like just letting my people walk around, and some of them would throw up.
You're like, what are you doing? That's like Sims.
Yeah.
Like people do so many. Now, currently, it's really funny because I see people on TikTok talking about their like creating Sims scenarios, and they just really push the boundaries of trying to see what their Sim characters will do and how they'll react. It's kind of funny. It's like a good social experiment without really, it's kind of like a good way to test it. Without
fast forward
having
now,
skin in the game.
With, like AI and things that people are doing with robots these days.
I know. That's right.
Scary. I'm still
be nice. Just listen, treat it like another conscious being. Be nice and sweet. Say I love you.
I love you.
They need love too. They just want to feel loved.
Oh, dear.
Here, be nice.
Okay.
You're going to be happy about this advice I give you. All right. Is that it? So I do want to add one more thing. I don't know why I'm yelling. Okay. This is something we're going to revisit as a review because this is one of my favoriteest movies. I know that's not a word. This is the year that this came out. The Matrix. March 1999. Game changer for so many people, including myself. I saw it in the theater. I was in Virginia at the time, living in D.C. And it was a groundbreaking science fiction film, as you know. I'm sure you have heard. But we're going to come back to that one. We're going to come back to 1999 so we can review The Matrix because that one needs a deep dive. Keanu. I feel like that was kind of like, out of all the movies he's had, I mean, no, he has John Wick and all that stuff now, but I feel like Matrix is still his prized movie series.
I am
Don't you
so ashamed to admit this.
You have not seen it?
No.
That's why we're going to do a review.
I know, I'm like...
So you're going to be forced to watch. Oh my gosh.
It's like, I know I have to watch it.
You'll see. It's just like how I had you watch your other sci-fi. Because it's starting to get older now, so it's like,
I need to.
Yeah, before it slips away.
Yay.
Sounds like we're ready to get into the feature. Let's do it. Let's get the feature. All right. So are you...
I like that.
You like that? That almost sounded like a little Disney vibe there. All right. So are you doing Shaky Tube or am I doing Shaky Tube?
You can shake it up. Ooh. Ooh, shake it up.
For the listeners out there who don't see what I'm doing, here's my Shaky Tube. This is where we find the mystery feature
What's it gonna
that
be?
we spelunked when we landed we came through the portal. 1999. What do you got for us, Sonic Chronic?
Make it good.
Make it good. So what we got to do is we're going to read a quote from the movie. And Mandy's going to guess it because I guess I'm reading it. And then that's going to reveal feature. So here we go. It's pretty sophisticated. All right, ready? I'm a cheerleader.
That's who I am. But I'm a cheerleader.
So
Cult classic. Movie.
So this was one of my favorite actors who played this character. This character's name was Megan Bloomfield, and it was played by actress Natasha Lyonne. We love her. And she was a little baby face.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple other people in this that were, well known, including RuPaul, but you'll get into that, I'm sure. But this particular line, I know it sounds simple, and if you haven't seen the movie, you must go see it. It is a classic. And I actually saw it in the theater. And this line actually is significant as it showcases Megan's initial denial and confusion about her sexual orientation, emphasizing the irony of her situation. So you'll see why the title of this movie is so perfect and poignant. And although it's a comedic take, which I think it was very smart for them to approach it this way, it actually addresses some very serious challenges and issues around sexuality, and certainly at that time too, where it wasn't quite mainstream accepted. I mean, it's come a long way, but still. And I think it was such a perfect vehicle to bring it and expose it to the mainstream, because otherwise it could be pretty hardcore, if you know what I mean. So I'll let you start adding in your take on it.
I mean, it's just basically about this girl who's a cheerleader. She has like her typical high school teen drama going on. She's, dealing with the other cheerleaders bossing her around and whatnot. Her boyfriend is like the top football jock, and who she thinks she's in love with, but she's just kind of like realizing, why am I like having these thoughts about these girls and like cheer class and whatnot?
Right.
And she's just kind of like embracing her true identity, and it's just celebrating the acceptance. I think what this movie was about, the acceptance of who you really are. Yeah,
because it starts off basically the whole comedy aspect of it is that she's oblivious. She doesn't know that. In fact, she says a couple times she doesn't know how she's acting is not normal. But of course, her friends and society is going to tell her that it's not normal. In fact. And here are the normal things. You need to be like this. And it's like, the very typical patriarchal ways to behave and rules, gender rules for both boys and girls. And so she, being a cheerleader, is like, that's that kind of like classic girl's girl, I'm, of course, how could someone anything other than straight if you're a cheerleader?
I'm a cheerleader.
But,
what do you mean?
While other girls are just kind of like being cheerleaders and athletic, here she is being like, having other motivation around why she likes cheering. Yeah, and it's so gross. I hate that kissing scene. But it's really funny how obnoxious they go. And the irony is, this is the part where I'm saying I'm glad they did comedic, because very serious issue is that there was a lot of conversion therapy because of religion, which is very painful and hurtful in real life, but they kind of put a twist on it to kind of show, so basically, there was an intervention for parents, and her friends basically say, oh, we think you're a lesbian, and
they send her away.
And they send her away to a conversion camp. Basically, it's like they're to make her straight again. Right. And it was for both boys and girls. And so, but it was also very cliche and stereotypical and really kind of well done, because they were trying to be obnoxious and be very over the top to prove a point. Mm-hmm. And when all was said and done, she ended up, I don't know, falling in love, but she ended up finding someone at the camp, and they both kind of fancied each other.
Yes.
And really against all odds and against the parents. And there was a lot of kind of pressures, that it was one of these kind of beautiful, stand up for love kind of thing.
Yeah, Clea Duvall. Is that how you say Clea? Is it
Clea? I don't know how to say her name.
She plays Graham.
Yeah.
And she's her love interest. But
it
was beautifully done. It was just like a slow, organic build of them.
Right.
Falling for
so at first they were kind of butting heads and a little, standoffish. But then,
Then they ended up falling in love. But
and there was the whole ex, guys who kind of escaped the school, and they were older now, and they were kind of just this underground railroad for gay lesbian people. But they would kind of help them have escape and kind of get out and try and be themselves, if you will, in a safe environment. But it was actually really interesting, and
it's really an amazing cast too.
Yeah, the cast was
the camp counselors was RuPaul.
How ironic! And it was funny too, because he
drag queen of the world,
and he was playing this straight guy, but he also was
suppressing his.
I'm an act, because he was still the son of the camp owner, which is probably why she was so hardcore about doing this, because he was gay outwardly, obviously, and then RuPaul's character was always trying to restrain from letting his impulses get the best of him. But it was done in a good way.
Speaking of the son of the camp counselor, I think his name was Rocky. There's a song that he dances to, and it's actually RuPaul's song.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
This is the one where he had the chainsaw, and he was that was pretty funny.
It was so
and she's
good.
Rock, stop it.
Yeah, Rock is a cult party train by RuPaul. It's such a good the soundtrack also.
Oh, the soundtrack, that's what I'm saying.
Super groovy.
It was insane, because, the song that I was obsessed with after I saw this movie, and really was heartfelt, and it was the first time they played it, was when the two characters, Megan and Graham, actually kissed and really had a heartfelt moment. Was that song, Are You Still Breathing? Are you, that one? Heart, what is it called? It's called Cello, Glass Vase Cello Case. And it's it's like a cello. Are you still breathing? It was so sweet. It's such a sweet song. But then the other songs on there,
a lot of catchy pop
Chick
songs.
Habit, from April March, and then If You Should Try to Kiss Her by Dressy Bessie, very kind of indie songs that were really, really awesome.
Pat Irwin did a great job with the soundtrack, choosing the score for it and everything. And do you know it was actually never released to CD, this soundtrack?
It wasn't?
No, but it is available on Spotify.
Oh, yeah, it's available on Spotify. It's actually great.
It was never actually released to CD, so I thought
Weird.
that was really interesting.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I felt like this one was also a groundbreaking, for the first time, mainstream movie theater with a major, a lead that people knew, like Natasha Lyonne. And it was actually talking about this, she was a lead gay lesbian character.
Yeah, it actually received a lot of mixed reviews when it was first released. Now it's has a huge cult following over the years. But initially the reviews were divided because some critics were praising its boldness while others
thought it was too campy.
A little too campy, and they love the lighthearted approach to serious topics, though.
Right.
But it was actually groundbreaking, too. It was kind of ahead of its time.
I think so, too.
It had a lot of different types of LGBTQ plus characters in there.
Yeah, that's right.
It really ahead of its time, I thought.
I thought so, too. And the thing is, it didn't really, at that time, we were still in our infancy about, like, trans people and the issues around that. But that's fine. I feel like, not saying that's fine, it wasn't included, but I think it was smart to approach it this way. Again, the reason why I think the comedic vehicle, but not still honoring it, even though it was campy, I still think it was being like tongue-in-cheek with people understanding that there was serious intent.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate. It wasn't like a throwaway. It wasn't like being scared or Disney. It was campy, but I think that was the way to receive a really tough subject, to be honest. And at the time, 1999, thinking about what else was going on in the world, I think that was the perfect way to allow that to have more visibility. Because we had other LGBTQ films out there, but they were sidelined. Mm-hmm. They were all very niched out because, you know what I mean? It was being too on the nose. It was too much.
Yeah, and this one was like more lighthearted and used a lot of humor to inspire.
Right, which I think straight people could receive as well.
Yeah.
Because that's really what is happening. It's like, it is so that there's seeing that, there's stories that represent me for people in the LGBTQ category, but also for people who are the mainstream heterosexual, they also could start to put their guard down to be open to a different story, and that increases empathy. I think that's a great way. So I know some people might have been like, it's too campy, but honestly, it would have been too hardcore for other people to open their eyes to or be receptive to.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think the director, Jamie Babbitt, did a really great job at just embracing this really important topic that's not really talked about in a lot of movies, but, doing it a way, like you say, it's kind of a film that everyone can relate to in their own way, even if they're not part of the LGBTQ plus community. Like, it's just inspiring everyone to just be their true, authentic selves.
Right, because you can it's like everybody can enjoy it, even though it's about an LGBTQ character. Guess what? It's funny.
Yes.
It's thoughtful. And that's what I think was smart. And Jamie Babbitt, you mentioned her. Well, she is, responsible for, like, you have the L Word and all those, like, kind of like the more mainstream, high visibility kind of like shows. So it was really cool to give that. I'm glad it had success. So
she also later worked with Natasha on Russian Doll.
Russian Doll was so good. That was on Netflix.
Yeah.
It was only 3 seasons.
Such a great one. And then Jamie worked with RuPaul later on when she directed Girl Boss in 2017.
Oh, that's cool.
But I love the visual aspect of this movie with all the bright, fun colors. It kind of reminded me...
Like the girls are all in pink, the boys are all in blue. It was like very obvious.
But even like just how each room was decorated so bright.
It was almost like...
it was like Edward Scissorhands.
Yes, it had a very... almost even, too, mixed with... What's the guy's name? One who does he films everything in Baltimore. He's also like a gay director, but he would do like drag queens and like very campy. Anyway, oh my God. His stuff was always so very like
vibrant
and very kind of like, not exaggerated, but kind of like that, but real and a little raunchy sometimes. So I kind of like that. I felt like But I'm a Cheerleader was a little bit like that, was like exaggerated, but also a little raunchy and real.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun to kind of, watch that happen.
So many great things about this film.
And I really think the soundtrack made it also something that was so kind of significant because, again, not to be like that, but some of the LGBTQ films I've seen, their soundtracks were kind of weak and almost a little cliche. They were using like popular edgy music, and I think it made people resonate with it more. I did. I feel like it, even like that song I was just singing for the kissing scene, and they played it again at the very end when she was like trying to win her over during graduation. He's like, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want to say no anymore.
Right. Oh, it sounds like
5, 6, 7, 8. I want you to be my mate. I hated that she said mate. And she's like, don't look away, it is our fate. Right. And then that song was like, dun, 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 still breathing. And I was just like, yeah. So and she ran, she was like, wait. She's like, ah. No, it's so good.
Oh,
I love it.
it's such a great ending.
So, yeah, it was a good ending. I'm glad it came around. It was sweet. It was really sweet. It left you feeling, like, hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, no, and even the woman who was the camp owner, she is famous.
Yes, Kathy.
The blonde. And she's funny.
Morardi? Kathy
how do you say
Morardi. She was in
Kathy-
Casper.
Yes, she's in a lot of stuff. She's where else? She always plays these different characters that are. Like,
She has this very
strong,
voice.
dominating.
What are you doing?
Yeah, dominating character.
Don't do that.
Right, almost like a smoker voice. And no, she was great, and so many good characters.
And Michelle Williams was in this. She played one of the cheerleaders that
in the beginning. That's right. She was a young version. I know she was one of the friends that totally betrayed her and confronted her, and the intervention was just like, and she was like, "You don't even like kissing your boyfriend." She's like, "She doesn't."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Ew, get out of here." He was all like, "Nah." I hated that because it seemed so bad. And remember, she'd be like. She would just like lean into it, and he's like, "Come on, more," and she'd be like, "Okay, bye."
Oh, so gross.
Oh God,
Just, like,
takes me back to high school. Why can't boys kiss? No, I was kidding.
I think we've all had that experience.
I think so too. Oh my God, so funny. Well, I think it's time to do a vote.
Let's vote.
For Bottom of the Cheerleader, and so we're gonna think of a good rating system. What do you think, Florence?
Is it a 1, 2, 3, 4? I don't want to say no anymore.
I know, right?
5, 6.
7, 8. I want you to be my mate. She's one of those characters where I feel like she aged well.
Oh yeah.
Versus the other way around. No,
Graham's character was so cool. Like, she's so mysterious.
She was like that cool character. Like, what? Smoking. Okay. I mean, what's our rating system? Okay, we got. Is it
a pom pom?
Is it pom pom? Is it a? I'm trying to think if they're like
a basket toss.
You were all specific about it. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Did you cheerlead?
Yeah, it was Marcy.
Oh my God, you know. I'm like, I don't know about basket toss. What? That's like gymnastics. How about, okay, is it 2 pom-poms up?
Ooh.
Or is it
zap themselves?
Oh, right. When the girl was like, unhealthy thoughts. And she's like, I like the pain. Or is it lights out?
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Okay, ready? Is it 2 pom-poms up? Or is it lights out?
Lights out. And we say
2 pom-poms up! 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't say no anymore.
I was going to say, this movie we adore.
Oh, like that too.
And we won't take no anymore. All right. So,
love it. Watch it.
Watch it. Don't miss it. It's on Prime?
Yeah, Prime.
It's on Prime. So, get it while you can, because you never know these days. They've been pulling titles. I noticed that Netflix.
I feel like if I say I'm going to watch something, they'll pull it right away because my phone is...
We were actually going to review one of my favorite films that's LGBTQ called High Art. I do want to mention this because it was going to be our feature, even though we love But I'm a Cheerleader. But High Art, highly underrated, and it was available until like a couple months ago. All of a sudden, the title's been pulled from every streaming channel, and I don't know what's... It shows up, but it says... not available. And here's the thing. This was the one with Ali Sheedy. She played this really serious role. She was a photographer. It's actually a beautiful, dramatic, really sad love story, but also kind of really interesting story. I know, I was really bummed. Well, there's only that voodoo or something. You had to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
I really wanted you to see it, but I was so moved. I saw that one in the theater too when I was in DC, but I just was like, again, it was so different than movies like that, where they had a lead character who, you know, was a lesbian, but it was like, it wasn't just about that. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about sexuality only. It was actually about her as an artist. Oh, it was so good. But anyway, if you can find High Art, that's 2 words, you should check it out for sure. Okay, so let's go into
Honorable
All right, we got
blue is the warmest color.
You all had to have seen it. Come on.
This movie.
Now, this one is not an American film, but it was tantalizing.
Wow.
It was really cool and interesting. It was groundbreaking, and it was
French.
It was straight up softcore.
It was.
I think it was.
This movie was wild.
When I watched it again, Mandy, seriously, I was like, the scenes, like even with a guy, I was like, I don't know how they're not really having sex. Because there was no merkins.
Okay.
And there was no, like, nudie undies.
No. I think there's a whole controversy about it. But
P and V. I saw both.
Same.
Okay.
I just rewatched it too.
Right. What's happening?
But I do remember back when it came out in 2013. Remember, it was like the
French.
talk of the town.
Talk of the town.
Because there was like a legit 7-minute long sex scene.
The first time. And then there was more.
And more.
And usually in those movies, there's literally one scene and that's it. That's all you get, the build up. But no, and it wasn't just with her, the love interest.
Well, first of all, it's about this teenage girl.
Yeah, what is this
Adele,
about?
And she forms this deep emotional and sexual connection with
she's
an
still in high
older
school.
art student
Who's in college.
She just met.
And she's actually a well-known actor.
Emma. Yeah, Léa Seydoux.
Beautiful.
Adele.
She's a new actor to the scene. She's younger. So the one that played the high schooler.
Yeah.
And it was almost like when you're at that moment in high school, or anybody can relate to this, where you're just like, you have boyfriends and you're doing the things and you're going through the motions, but you're like, you're not really connecting the way other girls who are like so into these guys are.
Yeah.
And I think she just was like,
she just wanted to explore it.
Yeah, she kind of, how does she, she saw her when she was walking by, she was in the square.
She had this really cool blue hair.
Cool, like light, like a
which is like
hair.
the theme of the movie. Like blue is used a lot throughout the film. Like they use it.
Do you know how they use the color?
Yeah, at the gay club, they had the lighting in the background.
No, right, exactly. Love that you note that, because I didn't realize, maybe you realized right away, but like the title meaning, not what, when you see the whole movie, what's going on, because it's really about the relationship, and they basically, it goes through these up and down, but ultimately Adele screws up.
Yeah.
But she loves her, but what's the other girl's name? Emma is like, no, she's just not going to deal with the immaturity. She doesn't even give her a chance, and she kind of just blew it. Mm-hmm. But it was like lost loves, basically. But did you notice after they got together and they were living together that Emma was blonde? So it was almost like they were saying blue, all the blue moments, where that was the time when it was good. When it was like, when she was like, they were in love.
It represented the emotional intensity, curiosity, love, and sadness that they experienced and throughout the film.
Sadness, but I felt like it was when her hair was blue, but did you notice she wore a blue dress to the art gallery at the end? And so it was almost like she had now moved into that phase of which Emma was there, and it was almost like Adele kind of evolved and grew up because she was, so enamored with Emma, and that it was almost like rubbed off on her, and she kind of grew up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end, when it wasn't possible for them to, be together anymore, but she could still appreciate her as like, she was with somebody new but respectfully, and she was at her art gallery showing, and it was almost like, okay, I can move on now. But the intensity of the emotions in this was crazy.
Just like your first love.
I felt like it felt real. Like the acting was really amazing. Like I have to say.
Gosh. Well, I
felt like it was real.
The director got so much slack on this because of how, he was treating them kind of like questionably. There was a whole controversy about this, like the 20 plus hour days to get this very specific shot.
Oh,
especially
really?
Like the sex scenes. Like it was
that was controversial because it was a male director of this kind of movie. She did have a sex scene with her first boyfriend before she met. Yeah. And that was, again, like I said initially, like it was almost uncomfortable, like that movie Kids. Did you ever see Kids? Mm-mm. That was also weird too, because it was a male director, and it was like these kids, it was like almost like improvised scripting, but there was like sex scenes and things and like natural stuff, but it felt like too real and weird. So it wasn't, I didn't feel that way in this movie per se, because it was scripted and there was like, there was a story. But the sex scenes, I was like, literally, I was like, they are having sex.
Yeah.
They're having sex.
And it's just like...
And so I'm just like, was that absolutely necessary for the point? And
also it's through like this male gaze of what he
through the male gaze. And you can tell, that's why I'm glad you brought that up, because that was the one, it was actually groundbreaking in terms of, it felt like there was real chemistry.
Yeah.
It was a real connection. And the story felt real. Like, it felt realistic that could happen.
The did phenomenal.
Yeah. And all the people and the friends in it and all this, it felt real. It felt real. And then also the fact that these, again, were lead lesbian characters.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that. But the fact, of course, it had to be a freaking male director. Like, so of course you knew, like, the sex scenes and certain takes. And he was fixating a lot. It was a weird thing. And I don't know if it was like, him, the director, being fetishizing it, or he thought that it was, again, maybe being French and being like, okay, well, this is kind of talking about rawness and like, but remember how he would fixate on like how much he would zoom in on her mouth and people's mouths eating food, like she'd eat spaghetti.
And like just
it would be all,
and he like wanted
and she would have those teeth where she'd be like
but
she
also
really
like whenever she'd be crying, her snot would drip down and drool, and almost like he like forced her to keep that, and he would zoom in on it. It's like,
I feel like that was a directed
way too
choice.
Uncomfortable. Like
it was too much.
Watching it again, I was like, okay, I don't need to see 30 seconds of that. Like,
right. He held too long. I mean, because I felt like it was good for the emotion. I actually cried on some of the moments because it was so deep. It felt so real. So I could feel the empathy. But yeah, there was some moments where I was like, you don't. And even just how she was eating sometimes, I was like, and why did her hair have to be so just, I'm like, can you just fucking let her brush her hair? Like, why is it all like, does he think that's sexy? It was like, I'm just like, what is that?
The soundtrack was great too. There's
oh my god, the soundtrack.
In particular.
Soundtrack. Baby. I follow you deep, deep, baby. I follow you. I follow. Oh my god, that was the first time you heard that was when they were at that dance scene at her birthday party. She was feeling high. They were in a relationship. She was loving life.
That was the jam that year.
That was the jam. It was something about that. It was so, and they played that again at the end. Mm-hmm. I wanted to pull it up because they also had a couple other, it was such a good soundtrack. Mm-hmm. Blue is the Warmest Color. It's on Spotify. They had another one called, so Leaky Lee. Do you know her? I love her. But yeah. No, they had a bunch of different, it was more like kind of dancey stuff and some like international stuff. Totally worth a listen. Such a good vibe. But the music, I felt like was so perfectly draped around moments. Even like a weird awkward moment about her friend kind of led her on. Mm-hmm. That was so fucked up. I don't know. I just thought it was so well done. And again, it makes you feel, it almost like imprints on you differently.
Yeah. You wanted them to end up together.
Yeah. You should watch it. It's actually pretty long. I didn't realize how long it was. So you should definitely check it out. That's also a very, not cult classic, but kind of. It's kind of on the, way back in the day, Bound was the movie with Gina Gershon and all that stuff. Now, I feel like these new ones, like But I'm a Cheerleader, Blue is the Warmest Color, these are the new ones bumping those out.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. It's a good movie. So let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
And this is a very famous actor.
Very famous. We were just talking about
this is based on a true person.
Yes.
And she did her justice, I feel like. I looked her up, what she really looks like.
Gia.
She was an actual, like, in the 90s.
One of the first supermodels ever.
That's right. And she was on Vogue. Like, she, like, changed the game.
Yeah.
Her look was all, very, basically, like, breaking the mold of what was, considered, like, supermodel material for the time.
Was, like, edgy.
It was, like, very 80s blonde. But she was, like, Italian, like,
gorgeous,
edgy, like just, and she was a little bit of a rebel, but she also kind of had, as they all do, like shady upbringing, not shady, but her mom kind of abandoned her. She lived with her dad, and she just was like looking for love, as we all do.
Played by Angelina Jolie.
Person,
I feel like that.
She played her so good. Yeah, she did.
Phenomenal.
It's a very sad story. She actually passed when she was 26 years old. And she was the very first. This is the other thing. It's crazy because this was around the time of the AIDS epidemic, but it was kind of the beginning where they were not quite sure. He's still uncertain. And so anybody who got it, you know, it was like you kind of treated as a pariah, but also family people, everybody didn't know, you know. So anyway, she was actually, as a woman, was really not common. She was the first case that young, and as a woman, she got it, fortunately, because she got into drugs.
Right.
And she was using needles.
She was spiraling out of control.
She got it from a dirty needle.
Yeah.
And it's really sad, too, because she was kind of like trying to keep up with all the Fast and Furious fame. When she went to New Jersey, and then she had this guy kind of like came over to her in a pizza shop. She was like, hey, let's be buds. And then she went to New Jersey, and the next thing you know, like someone just saw her face and was like, oh, that's right, that couple, remember?
Yeah.
And they were like, he was a photographer, and he was like, you know, they kind of had a little...
Being Wilhelmina Cooper.
Yeah, because it was because the photographer. Basically, they were kind of like, you know, hooking up, the two of them. And then, he did headshots and these awesome photos. And then she basically went in to Wilhelmina agency, right?
Yeah.
Played by...
Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway was amazing.
Yeah.
And it was just really an interesting, crazy story because she was just like, basically, her makeup artist for her first big shoot was this love interest who was the love of her life, supposedly. And that was the lesbian relationship that she had. But it was all about, it was crazy because she relationships with all kinds of people. And that was the thing. She was kind of like all over the place. But in terms of, she really did want to try and have a relationship with Linda
Elizabeth Mitchell.
But she had already been so deep into the drugs that it was tough. Yeah.
It's such a sad story.
Yeah.
It's just like...
It's interesting to know the story, and Angelina did such a great job.
She was phenomenal.
And, okay, soundtrack. It actually had a great soundtrack. And I didn't realize it until I looked it up and, like, on Spotify to see if it had one, and it does. First of all, what I did notice is there was the famous song at the beginning. There was a lot of like cool 80s songs on this soundtrack. I don't know if you noticed, but it was things like you had the Pretenders, Brass and Pocket. And gonna make you want me. And then New Sensation by INXS. Robert Palmer, Simply Irresistible. I mean, this is all the times of that. David Bowie, Let's Dance.
Great.
Echo and the Bunnymen. The Killing Moon. Okay, so anyway, but what I noticed besides all those famous, awesome 80s songs is that they use a lot of jazz, like upright-based jazz, interstitial music in between moments. Did you notice that? In between song moments?
I did notice that.
It's very jazzy. But I liked it. I think it created an interesting mood that I wasn't expecting. It was really interesting that shows. I didn't notice that the first time I saw it, but this time I was like, oh, it was a great way to kind of pull it down and almost like she wanted to kind of stop, and they're like, oh, you can't stop, you know. But she had nobody else guiding her. So it was like, okay, I'll keep going. Yeah. But I think it was too much, you know.
Sad story.
Yeah. Sad true story. And then our last honorable mention. This one is actually a current one from this year. We thought, let's do one from this year just because, I don't know, just kind of an interesting juxtaposition. Because it's been a minute since there's been a really solid one. I mean, this one's a little out there, too. And guess why? Because Kristen Stewart is a lead.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting because she's kind of in her new chapter.
We love her.
We're loving her joining the fam. and I love that this is like this weird, gritty, random kind of story about like a female like bodybuilder.
Love Lies Bleeding.
I forgot to say the title. Love Lies Bleeding.
Yes. Yes. It's about this. It's a love story about this like gym manager Lou,
who's Kristen Stewart.
Yes, with this bodybuilder Jackie.
New actor. Yeah.
New actor was great.
Yeah, she's great. And she legit is like, she has like bodybuilder body.
Anna Baryshnikov.
Anna Baryshnikov. I wonder, is she Russian?
Anna Baryshnikov. She's beautiful.
She's beautiful, but
yeah,
what a wacky movie. But here's the thing: it was actually it almost had Tarantino vibes.
Yeah,
and at the end, it had a weird, surreal moment. I don't know. Oh, and guess who? Her father, famous actor.
There was a lot of famous actors.
There was a lot of, and he was. I love him.
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris was
Dave Franco.
Was Lou's dad. Oh yeah, Dave Franco was in it. And he actually is a producer, director. Dave Franco.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And it was like this interesting, almost like Thelma and Louise meets Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, there's a couple different storylines going on. Where Lou and her dad didn't get along, and killing sprees. And they're trying to cover it up.
And then the Dave Franco character was kind of a scumbag, and like they basically fall in love, and she's on her way coming from, I don't know, Texas, and she's on her way to California for this competition that she wants to win, this bodybuilding competition. She wants to make a new life, and she's just kind of like thumbing it, she's just kind of left home.
Yeah.
And then Lou kind of takes her in, and Lou gives her some, because she's in a gym with guys, she has like steroids, and she's all like, hey, you want some steroids? Just all casually. She's like, what's this?
She was buff.
She was. And at the very end, it was a very Thelma and Louise moment. I won't ruin it for you. But I actually, at first, I wasn't sure. And I was like, please don't let me down, because new movies have been letting me down. But by the end of it, I was like, you know what? I like you. I like you, movie.
When I watched it, I was like, whoa, this is like, has a little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah.
It was like a thriller, but it had a great love story.
Yeah.
So many twists and turns.
Lots of twists and turns. And also the soundtrack was really cool. I didn't look it up on Spotify. I bet you they do have one. But it was kind of edgy. It was gritty. It was kind of like the way it felt shot. And like, honestly, it was one of those movies where everybody looks like they need a shower.
Yeah.
Like, need to like comb their hair. They've been sweating all day. Like, I'm like, what is that? Yeah. I'm like, but it was that kind of like that gritty kind of like optic. And then I feel like the music lent itself to that vibe too. It was more indie. It was kind of a little bit more gritty, like that kind of, not bluesy, but maybe a little bit. I don't know. It fit. I think it worked. Right?
The A24 film.
A24, and they always do those.
They always do these
random independent films. I love A24. Yeah, they always have some good stuff, and there's little gems in it because it was also like a dark comedy.
Yeah,
it was a dark comedy.
It really was. I felt.
Yeah. Remember her hallucination when she was at the bodybuilding contest?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
It was great.
I think she's breaking out of her Twilight like stereotype.
Yeah,
she's all like, I'm not that girl anymore. All right. Well, we are at the end of our Pride episode.
Pride edition.
Pride edition. Oh, I missed it. We were going to harmonize. But we want to say that we are happy that we did a Pride edition.
Pride edition.
That was terrible. Wait, let me give us a note.
No. Just do it.
I can't. I'm so scared. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Pride edition. Pride. It was like as if we had no ears. Alrighty.
That was great.
Okay, well, as we always do, we would love to hear what you thought about our reviews of these titles in 1999, 1998, and 2024.
That's
edition. But you have to let us know. Do we get it right? Are you feeling the vibes? Also, do we miss any movies that you think that we should check out? So, I think continue to let us know. Watch us on Spotify. Watch us on any, Apple Music, all that good stuff. And we are going to be publishing our video episodes, the one on YouTube. And then eventually we're going to open up our Patreon with some extra cool stuff. But in the meantime, keep listening, keep glistening.
Keep driving and thriving.
Yes, right. And with that said, that was the frequency of that time. Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Frequency of the time.
We love you.